Hello, everybody. Hey now, and welcome to another edition of Courtside with Christy and Gabe right here on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. I am Christy Winter-Scott, joined as always by my guy, Gabe Ibrahim, who is sporting the plum dog attire tonight because we are in the thick of the WNBA playoffs, my friend. You are back from Italy. We had a little podcast last week, and just I want you to tell the people what was your favorite thing about overseas when you traveled, real quick, and then we're gonna dive in deeply to what's happening in the WNBA playoffs.
What was my walking? First is the best thing about being in Italy.
Very nice.
If you're living in a city, you can walk everywhere.
Yeah.
And then cheap, amazing food and coffee.
Huh.
Every espresso is like $1, and it's way better than anything we have here. I paid $6 for a latte today, Christy.
Wow.
$6.
Wow.
Wild stuff. And so that's what I
missed. Milk mustache? You had the milk mustache with it?
No, I had to savor it. It was just $6. It'd be gold. This is the price of like saffron. This is it was crazy. So that's what I missed the most. Cheap wine, cheap food, cheap coffee, and it's all better than the stuff we have here because they don't put all the we got a lot of weird stuff in our bread and
extra.
I learned how to make some really good Italian food though. So next time we get together, I'll make you my cacio e pepe, my papa de pomodoro.
Oh,
yes. I don't do French food though. So
that's okay.
When you go to France. When you go to Paris.
I'm going to Paris next summer.
And maybe when I go to Paris, I don't know. We have to figure that out.
You're going.
For courtside on Champs-Élysées.
Courtside on Champs-Élysées with a croissant. Yeah. Croissants all around. Yeah.
And it's basketball because it'll be the Olympics. Plum Dog will be there. Probably.
Yeah. For sure.
Yeah, it'll be there.
Ball on our Mystics.
Yeah. Ariel will be there at the very least. Maybe Elena.
Yeah,
maybe Natasha after what she did in game 3 up until the last moment of regulation. We do have to talk about it.
We will. I'm recovering. It's really hard, and it's hard, obviously for the coaches and the players. But when you go to practices every day, you're invested. You got that Shiraz going. That's what you said.
Yeah. So I have my Plum is smoking a cigar to commemorate the end of the first round. I'm drinking a glass of wine.
Okay.
We're enjoying our time off here.
Vibes are immaculate.
A couple days off.
The vibes are immaculate. Yeah, man. But it hurts everybody. The fans. I was amongst the Mystics fans for games 1 and 2. Mm-hmm. So obviously game 2 being the season-ending game for the Mystics, it was quite melancholy after. But the effort was there. It's just, a couple of miscues, execution-wise in regulation down the stretch by both teams, right? Mm-hmm. It was just like, oh my God, what's happening? Both teams turned it over in crucial moments for sure. But that's what happens in games, right? And then Sabrina missed both her free throws, a 91% free throw shooter. Bizarro. Crazy. Things were going crazy. Like everything was berserko. And then, JJ was able to get that offensive rebound and get fouled and make her free throws. It was just like the sequence was it was insane, the ebbs and flows of it. But I was on every hill and valley with the fans. So it was cool to be with them because we all kind of felt the same way. So big ups to all the fans that came out to DC to watch the Mystics play. And I don't know, you can't begrudge the effort that was put forth by the Mystics, and especially Cloud, who just, 33 of them, 33 points. She has 7 boards, right?
I think that's her. So 33 points, 6 rebounds, 9 assists.
9 assists.
With 2 turnovers. 9 assists, 2 turnovers, 4 steals.
And how many steals? I'm sorry, honey.
4.
4 steals. And she was a blizzard out there, man. LeBron was even tweeting about her, talking about she's
that definitely her best game
wild
ever. And I think that's that's up there in the upper echelon of Mystics single individual playoff performances.
Yeah.
And up there in the echelon of WNBA performances, maybe the best ever in a losing effort. I'm sure we'd have to go back to looking at JJ and those 2019 finals.
Yeah.
There's been a lot of great ones, but man,
yeah,
just what she did, and especially from turning around from game one.
Yes.
And then turning around and having that game where they needed her to have that game.
They did.
Was just incredible. It shows the type of person she is, type of player she is. I mean, I wasn't surprised until she was like, up into the 30s, where it was like, whoa, this is more than even this is more than even the biggest Natasha Cloud fans, which I'm sure you, me, and a bunch of people in Washington, D.C. are on that list, could expect, because she was just completely outstanding. And it is just a shame that they couldn't come up with the victory.
I know. I mean, she was spectacular. I mean, some of those moves. I mean, she had the hezzy, that one she got it in the corner. She was sizing up JJ, and I was going like this when she was sizing her up. I'm like, what's she gonna do? What's she gonna do? And then she took it and split the defense and finished on the reverse or something like that, like in traffic, like what? And then she came down the middle, right at the nail, and attacked from there with the hezzy, and then finished with some serpentining reversal underneath. I'm like,
yeah, that one was insane.
God, it was phenomenal.
Like,
it was
you don't practice a reverse like that.
How do you get that down?
I don't.
It looked easy. That was scary. That was the scariest thing about it. And not scary, but like the most exceptional thing about her performance was that it looked effortless. Like, and her attack was fire. Like, her attack was like, this is what I'm doing. I'm deliberate. I'm attacking right here. I'm gonna just freeze you enough to get by and finish. And man, she was doing that. And she was knocking in her threes early. That opened up the floor a little bit, and then her attack game came alive. So, I mean, again, you can't begrudge the effort, especially by her and her thug tears. She said at the end, man, you know how tough she is, but you also know how emotionally invested she is with the game and with her teammates and with her team. And so, she laid it on the line. She, spoke about it. She said, I'm checking Sabrina 40 minutes. And she was all over her, like every action, every screen that, I think it was Sabrina made those 7 threes in the first game, right? And Eric Tebow said that on 5 of them, we played her underneath the pick and roll, right? 2 of them she launched from whatever, Queens or something like that. But 5 of them, they misread the pick and roll action, right? We were talking about that last pod, but they didn't close gaps on it when they did go underneath, which was not supposed to be the game plan. So you just saw Tosh stay over top and attached. I mean, she was locking and, disallowing any touches off that action. And I thought she did a phenomenal job on Sabrina, just individually. I thought that, if she says it, it's going to happen. I mean, she called the championship in 2019 and she said, period, facts, period. And they got the ring. So, I mean, she's no stranger to backing up what she says. So it's not new. And the fact that Barclays Center stood up and gave her an ovation. And she's like, I'm just a mid-major, kid, and could have never dreamed that would happen, that they would, give me that level of respect. But respect is due when you lay it on the line like that. I mean, that's what sports are all about. The challenge, talking about the challenge, and then backing up your words. I mean, what are you going to do? Shake her hand.
To do it on both ends was
both ends
astonishing. And again, this is coming from people who really respect and appreciate her and know what she's capable of. For her to do what she did was absolutely astonishing. And I thought she, all right. So let me tell you the stats, right? Like, if I told you before this game, Natasha Cloud has 33 points efficiently. We look at the Liberty. Okay, Sabrina goes 4 of 11, only 11 points. Stewie goes 9 to 25 from the field. You're looking at these stats and you're saying, well, then the Mystics won. But that didn't work out, because there's obviously other matchups, and not that those other players didn't have the same game that Natasha had, and so that didn't come to fruition. I think the 2 people for New York that deserve a lot of credit, and also Brianna Stewart did have 27 points. But that's neither here nor there. Well, it is here nor there, but the 2 players I want to talk about are Jonquel Jones and Minaj Laney. Amazing.
That shot that Laney hit right inside the free throw line on the way down to the floor. What? Oh my God. That was, I mean, what are you going to do? And it was highly contested, like hand in the face, falling down on the floor. Okay. And went in tough. Like it didn't bounce around. It went in tough, clean. I'm like, wow. I was like, what do you do with that? Like you're playing your best defense, you're contesting shots on her. But her motor, I mean, this year she has just been, a terror for opponents in terms of how to guard her. I mean, and I always say this, the best way to guard people like that is to disallow touches, which Tosh did with Sabrina.
Yep.
But, you can't expect that, across the board. I mean, in games, like it's just, I mean, it's impossible, which is why, I mean, she was just a phenomenon. And JJ was terrific on the glass. Like, that was, at halftime, I think that was something that we talked about with the fans. Like, they've got to control the glass, especially Jonquel at 6'6". The bigger they are, I hated being boxed out by smaller people. I hated that. Somebody put their behind in my legs. I'm like, you got it. Like I try to shift and move, but everything happens so quickly. But that's the worst thing, is to get someone to have position on you on the glass, like, and to hold it and to maintain it, not just a quick bump. But
and Jonquel fought through that.
She did.
And this is a matchup that she really takes the Washington games very seriously.
Yeah.
Very, very seriously. It's important to her. When they lost last year, I remember her being very upset in the regular season.
Yeah.
Let alone in the playoffs. So she takes this matchup extremely seriously, and she fought through all of that contact. And we know how big Myisha Hines-Allen is, how strong she is. I mean, you're not moving her.
No.
Jonquel just was able to get around her, get over her, cause those fouls, and she had the mismatch, right? And
right.
It comes back to how different the series would be if Shakira Austin was healthy.
Yeah.
Especially if Shakira Austin was healthy throughout the season. And it's just a shame that we didn't get. And I don't know. Remember if I said this on the podcast last week, but like this series next year, if these two teams stay together and stay healthy, is extremely intriguing, because Shakira Austin's going to come back and be able to match up with Jonquel Jones.
Say that.
In this matchup, you got to give Myisha Hines-Allen a ton of credit.
Yeah,
I think she played very well in both games, but she's just giving up so much length, so much size that. That's why Jonquel was able to get loose. And then for Benaja, it's like, you want to limit her touches, but you got to deal with Brianna Stewart, Sabrina Ionescu, Courtney Vandersloot, and Jonquel Jones. And it's like, well, the person who's going to fall through the cracks is, of course, Benaja Laney. And now we're, that's what's great about this New York team, is like, we're getting to see her play meaningful minutes.
Yeah.
In this role that really, like, she used to be in a role. She was not, the level, like she's too good for this role now, whereas she may have been in too big of a role before.
Oh, I see what you mean.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So now that she's in this role, she's like too good to be the fifth best player on any team. So she's, as the fifth best player on this team, was able to get loose and just continuously keeps New York in it. She just has that dog in her. It's the same thing that we love to see in Natasha Cloud and Brittany Sykes and a bunch of players in this league.
Yeah.
That's what Benaja Laney embodies, all that as well.
No doubt. I mean, you speak to her Rutgers upbringing, through the ranks, and how physical she had to be when she was a marked woman, by every opponent in the Big Ten. And, obviously playing for C. Vivian Stringer, and her mom playing for C. Vivian Stringer. So there was like reinforcements with expectations. And now it's paying off. I mean, initially when she got into the WNBA, it was tough for her. Obviously had an injury and everything else that she had to cope with and drive herself through. But just to see her performing at that level in the playoffs and just knowing her journey, passion is free. That's what I saw a quote today say. Passion is free, and she's taking full advantage of that. And and I think that's what that's where you find your purpose, is in your passion for what you do. And I think that's what we're seeing with Benaja Laney and everything that she encompasses as a young woman, but also as a hooper. I mean, I heard you say she's fifth best on the team, and that's hard to, I'm like, wait, it really?
And you can argue about who.
No, I'm not saying it's wrong, but I mean, wow, you're looking at everyone ahead of her on the team, but I mean, just together they have really gelled, as the season evolved, and playing their best basketball at the right time. and I think it's going to be a great matchup with Connecticut. I think that's going to be fun to watch and see.
Do you want to talk about the Mystics? Let's come back to the Mystics.
Okay.
We're gonna shelve the Mystics for a second. I do want to talk about their offseason a little bit because it's a tiny bit interesting. I think just like to spoiler, like I think it's pretty much gonna be the same team. But I do want to talk about it with you.
Yeah.
Let's save that. We're gonna shelve it. We're taking the Mystics offseason talk, putting it off the shelves. Mystics, cheers to you. Thank you for a great season. Hopefully we have some better health next year. It got better though. You gotta say health got better from last year.
Yes. And mid-season too. I mean, it was at one point, I mean, I think Tosh said it in one of the interviews recently. She said, you take 3 starters off any team. Good luck making the playoffs. I think, with Eric Thibault sliding over 12 inches, right, to the head coaching seat after 4 years of being an associate head coach for his dad, Mike Thibault, the GM. I mean, that's a tough task. I mean, even with everyone being healthy and together and being whole, it's still a tough task. So the fact that you're missing 3 starters for a long stretch of the season, and then having Tolliver obviously out and then coming back and then going back out, sending her a massive amount of prayers. But she says she's going to be back. I'm like, okay, let's work, Panda. Let's work, Christy Tolliver, KT. So I don't know. Like, I think what Tosh said was legit. Take 3 starters off any team. I don't care if it's WNBA, NBA, college, high school, 3 starters down, and you still make a run like that and push the 2 seed as a 7 seed. You push a 2 seed to overtime in an elimination game and just pour it all out there, man. Obviously you want to win. You want to win, and I get it. And I'm not making excuses. You know me. I'm not making an excuse. I'm just being real. Shakira Austin makes a difference being on the floor.
Absolutely.
They get over the hump with the dub. I would say yes to that. Had she not missed so much time, and who knows what the chemistry would look like if she just popped in for game 2 after not playing.
Yeah.
I don't know. Like, that's hard to say, but had she not been injured initially and she was playing great basketball, I thought she could have easily been most improved player out of the gates the first several games she was playing. Her numbers were insane. But had she not gotten injured at all and played throughout the season, I don't care. Like, I think that would have been a different deal. But just, I'm not saying like throw her in, after not getting any game reps, in 3 weeks, 2 weeks, and an elimination game. You don't want to toy with the chemistry. So I get that too. So, who knows? And I hate that you have to speculate and try to imagine what that could have been like. But I really do think that's a key piece to their seeding, number one, but also, in this series.
The seeding is the seeding is kind of the biggest thing here. Is like, hey, if they're the 4th seed, we're talking different story right now. We're probably talking about the Mystics moving on. Well, Dallas probably has something to say about that. Maybe I don't know how the seeding would have worked if Milwaukee was healthy, but I think
big difference.
Hey, I bet that's the way the cookie crumbles. And like you said, there's no excuses. No. They lost to the better team, and hopefully next year they get to see what this team looks like full. And so, at least just a little bit more health, a little bit more consistency, and just a little bit more gelling throughout the season. So they don't need some sort of miraculous game to win. And it kind of felt like they did need that. They needed to be perfect. Yeah. And they almost got it. They almost got it. Yeah. And so you have to tip your hat to the Mystics and also say it kind of stinks. But the Liberty also just really stuck with it. They didn't have their best games. I'd say in either of these 2 games, didn't have their best games, didn't have their most complete games. Washington's defense had a lot to do with that. Yeah. But I think it's going to prepare them a lot for going forward in these playoffs, and especially with what's up next with the Sun, as you mentioned. And I think we should let's get into the Sun Dallas series because that's the only series that went 3 games. So
I know.
On our last pod,
I did.
I said everyone's dead.
You did.
Put them in the ground, wrap it up. We're gonna have a long week off. And then, Dallas, I'm sorry, Minnesota pulls off a win. And that's, testament to their grittiness, their coaching, to their whole thing. And that's another exciting situation where there's going to be a lot of change building around the Feast of Collier, who had 31 points in the elimination game.
Let's go. I mean, tap in. She tapped in. And said it was probably obviously coming back from having a baby, said it was a challenge to get to where she wanted to be. But I think she exceeded that, right? What she thought she could do this season, career high numbers across the board for her. So, I mean, a phenomenal effort by Minnesota to get that one. But, Connecticut, shout out Stephanie White, Coach of the Year for both AP and WNBA. So shout out as my sister from another mister, Stephanie White. But I mean, what she's been able to do too, just stepping right in with kind of the same team. No Jasmine Thomas, obviously. And then Brianna Jones goes down with the Achilles injury early in the season. But the fact that they were able to maintain themselves, as a squad, and Alyssa Thomas I'm running out of adjectives for Alyssa Thomas because she has been I don't know. I've already said spectacular and exceptional tonight. Some synonyms for that. Just throw any of those in there for AT. I mean, she's just been outstanding.
Well, and someone pointed out in our comments last time, because we were saying like, hey, the whole thing about Connecticut is that they have Alyssa Thomas, right?
Yeah.
DeWanna Bonner was phenomenal in games 2 and 3, has been phenomenal for this team since she got there, and also is just like Hall of Famer. We don't need to go through all the accolades.
No, she's a beast.
We all know that what she's capable of, and she pulled it out again here in game 3. She ends up with 25 points, 8 of 13 from the field, 10 rebounds, a double-double to go along with Alyssa Thomas's double-double. So I mean, that's what this team's all about, is when they can get those two going, and then a third person. That's their winning formula. In this game, it was Ty Harris, who's been having a great season for them. Really low-key great season in Connecticut, and not something that's surprising to a lot of people who were watching her in Dallas, but good to see that she came through. And then in game 1 against Minnesota, it was kind of everybody. They have 4 starters in double digits, along with Ty Harris, who also had 12 points off the bench. And so, we look at this team in Connecticut. This is their 5th straight WNBA semifinal.
That's silly. That is silly.
2 different coaches.
Yeah. MVP
left.
Yeah.
A major injury to a major player in each of those seasons.
Yes.
Except for 2019. No injury.
19, no injuries there. Yeah.
But 19, 20, 21, 22, 23.
Thomas's Achilles. Yeah.
All 4 years, major injuries.
Yeah.
What the organizational strength there and commitment to excellence.
Yeah.
I mean, I think, it starts with Alyssa Thomas, starts with people like DeWanna Bonner, but it has to go through the entire organization. I think you have to put them in that same conversation with, a team like the Miami Heat, which of course I'm going to bring up, because it is kind of it doesn't, the names on the back of the jerseys change, but the names on the front don't. And that name on the front is getting to deep into the playoffs every single year.
For sure.
And I'm just extremely impressed, not surprised, because I think we kind of would have picked this before the season, the Sun making it to the semifinals.
Yeah.
But, you have to tip your cap to that organization with what they've been able to do and withstand, and the resilience of everything. And I think that, as we said, starts with DeWanna Bonner and Alyssa Thomas.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I saw a stat, and maybe I don't know if I'm going to say it properly, but I know that they are the only duo in the WNBA playoffs to have a double-double in the first round or something like that. I saw. I don't know. It was on social media.
Okay.
I forgot what it was on, but it was.
Oh, you're gonna tell me where it was, so I could go look at it. I'll try to find it.
I was gonna say Twitter, but I mean, it was a tweet. I mean, what do you say?
You mean an X?
It's an X. Like, do you call it an X or do you call it a tweet?
No, it's Twitter.
So that's why it's Twitter. So go look on there. But yeah, it was their numbers and their percentages and the double-double effect that they had in that last game, the game 3, was something that's never been done. 2 double-doubles in the first round of the WNBA playoffs on the same team, I think, had never been done before that.
So here I think I got it.
Oh,
We have
tell me the story then, because I don't know specifics.
from ESPN Stats and Info through Alexa Philippou, friend of the podcast. Alyssa Thomas and DeWanna Bonner are the first pair of teammates with 25 points, 5 rebounds, and 5 assists in a playoff game.
Yeah.
And then a second stat here, Thomas scored or assisted on 58 points.
What in the what?
The most in WNBA postseason history.
Dang. Okay. In the words of Deion Sanders, darn it. that's major, man.
No, Coach Prime.
That's major work. Listen, how does that even? And that's why, when they have you do the votes before the playoffs, it's really hard, because then when you see these kinds of clutch performances and all of that, it really changes everything. I mean, not everything, but changes a lot of thinking. And for me, I mean, that's really hard.
Yeah. Well, and also,
she's MVP level.
We need a playoff MVP.
I agree.
This is not my idea. I'm sure a lot of people have this idea, but we need a playoff MVP, not just the finals.
No.
We can have one for the finals. I don't really care. We need one for the entire playoffs.
I agree.
Say, you did something very special in the second season, the more important season, if we're being honest.
Yes.
Your second season was phenomenal, and you deserve an award, not just for the last 3 to 5 games of the finals. You need one for the playoffs, in my opinion. Both the NBA and the WNBA.
Agreed.
In college, we have the most outstanding player for the entire tournament.
Right.
Typically, that does go to the final. Or no, is it for the? Is it most?
It's for the final 4.
Another thing, because Steph Curry should have won it in his year, whichever year that was. Caitlin Clark, did she win it? No, she didn't win it because they didn't win the championship.
No, I think she was on the all-tournament team, though, of course. But
regardless, we need something like that.
We do need something like that. I like that. I think that's a great idea, and I think they need to entertain that. Just because, I mean, what do they always say? Like in the postseason for college, the tournament is where you lay down your legacy, right? Mm-hmm. That's the legendary portion of your career. What you do in those moments, those 6 games. If you play all 6 and get to the championship game, you play 6 or 7 games now to play in. But it's like, hey, let's see who comes, the cream rises, right, in those moments. And I think the same can be said in the NBA and the WNBA in the playoffs. Like the regular season is one thing, which is fantastic. And there's always going to be someone who feels slighted or left off. And the fact that Kobe, late, great, iconic Kobe, only received 1 MVP. And Diana Taurasi 1 MVP. That's crazy to me. I don't know. But I'm sure in a postseason, in a playoff atmosphere, I mean, they probably would have had multiple, right? MVPs of the playoff. MVP
how many
playoffs,
finals MVPs did Kobe end up with? I mean, Diana has
a ton.
Two most outstanding players, and I'm guessing 2 finals MVPs. Yeah, she has 2 finals MVPs. And then Kobe, I believe I think he has 3 finals MVPs. 2 finals MVPs, excuse me.
2. Oh my God.
He was with Shaq.
Because what?
Yeah. Shaq won. Because Kobe won 5, so I think 2 of them went to Shaq, and then there was a weird third one, if I'm remembering correctly. Someone tell me. And Diana, she I mean, it is crazy the more you think about their careers. How similar they are.
How do they not? So I don't know. I think there's something to be said for postseason, playoff level hoops, like who's coming up clutch in those moments, right? And obviously you're going to have your finals, series and have MVP for that. But I think, the first and second rounds also need some love, because it takes a lot of guts and heart to get to the finals, right?
It's the most important time of the year.
Right. You'll be riding somebody. Who are you riding in those moments? Like who are those people? And that's what I think we need to crown them. For sure. We need to crown them. I like that.
This is not my idea. I don't want to take credit for it, but I do want to say that we need it. I'm pretty sure I said that. I say this every year. I have no idea what I say from year to year. I don't even know. I think I probably picked. I just said like, oh, we probably would have picked Connecticut to make the semifinals. I think I did pick Connecticut to make the semifinals. Like when we did whatever we did at the beginning of the year.
Early,
Whatever.
yeah.
It doesn't matter. Do you want to preview Connecticut, New York?
Yeah, I think we have to, right? I think this is going to be a really good defensive matchup. I mean, both teams like to get up under you and get physical, especially Connecticut. And I'm saying that in a great way. I mean, that's what Stephanie White said as much during the game that they just played. So I think they want to be disruptive. I think they want to, take away, your first, second options in your quarter court offense. But I also think they want to drive that ball. I think they want to play at a high level of pace, and they're going to get that from their board work, and they're going to get that from their steals. With Alyssa Thomas getting in the open court. I mean, you can almost visualize her, right? Getting steals and scores, or getting rebounds and just taking it and initiating their transition game. And I think transition game is going to be huge for Connecticut. Obviously, transition defense is going to be major for New York.
And I think one of the things that I'm looking out for here is how much pressure can Connecticut put on New York? Because that was huge. That was absolutely huge for Washington, even though they got swept. It kept them in the games. And that's the biggest thing, is that it kept them in the games. It put pressure on New York to find different ways to score. It put the ball in, Benajelani's hands. And again, that's not good. You don't want that. But among the choices available, that's the best one.
And contested. I mean,
and contested.
Give it to her and contest, and she's still dropping them on the way down. That shot, I still can't get over it. But
and so you look at Connecticut, the makeup of Connecticut. I think with Bree Jones, it will become a lot clearer. But they've been operating without Bree Jones the entire season. So you're looking at kind of how are they going to match up? Does Olivia Nelson-Ododa take on more responsibility? They haven't done that so much. Maybe you throw in Ty Harris into the starting lineup, either for Natisha Heidemann or Beck Allen. Also have a confession to make really quick. I thought this was really funny. I looked at the box score really fast while we were talking, because I'm always doing that. And I see R. Allen on the box score, and my head, because I had mentioned the Heat, literally went right to Ray Allen. Ray Allen. What? This is ESPN's messing up. And I was like, wait, Gabe, you're being an idiot. And I also call her Beck Allen. I know. I think that's fair. Regardless, enjoy my brain fart. So, you got Tiffany Hayes, who can definitely, I think pressure some of the New York, one of the New York guards, probably Sabrina, if I had to guess.
I would think.
Although DeWanna Bonner's length could really bother Sabrina, but I think DeWanna could also be someone you want to help. And then you're dealing with the Jonquel and Stewie problem. And I think, does this just scream like Alyssa Thomas is going to be on Jonquel?
Wow. Go ahead and stir the pot, why don't you? I like that. Oh,
that would be saucy.
I love that, actually. Can we please see that? I would love to see that matchup, actually. Let's go ahead and put that in the atmosphere as something that is going to happen. I think that would be a strong matchup, not only, physically, but I think, when you're talking about the mental gymnastics of that matchup, they both know each other explicitly well because of being teammates, obviously. And the little nuances. Like when you play with someone, what they like. Okay.
And what they don't like.
What they don't. I like it. Oh, let's please see that matchup. I'm intrigued already. Like, when's the game again? Like, we have to wait.
I think we have it on Sunday at 1 p.m. on ESPN.
We got to wait. I hate that we have to wait, but
I know
it's whatever. Like, I think that's going to be a really great matchup if that happens.
And I think for the Sun, you're going to have to throw out a bunch of different things. And I think that'll be, and you have to get out in transition, like you mentioned. That's going to be, probably the biggest determining factor, right? If the Sun get out in transition, they got a real shot to, and you're going to have to steal game 1 or game 2 in New York. Yep. Because you don't want to come back and have to win game 5, or you don't want to. The other thing is that no one ever mentions is you don't want to have to go home and win both to stay alive. That's scary.
That's
scary. You don't want to have to do that. You want to win one. You want to win game one.
Take one on the road.
You always want to win game one as the road team. That is number one priority. You can get smoked in game two if you win game one.
Sure.
So for the Sun, they're going to come out guns blazing. They have to get out in transition. That is absolutely the biggest thing. Mm-hmm. So now how do you match up? That's the other. So now the matchups that we have.
Okay.
If we're coaching, we're not Steph White. Steph White's coach of the year.
Steph White, coach of the year.
She's got
we can do our own little side whiteboarding.
Yeah. Sorry, I got a whiteboard. We don't need it though. We're doing we're just doing matchup.
Okay.
So we got Alyssa.
Okay.
On Jonquel.
Okay.
Dewana on Stewie.
Okay.
Tip Hayes on Sabrina.
Tip on Sabrina. Who else though? Okay, so it'd be
and then Ty Harris or Natisha Heidemann on Courtney Vandersloot.
Yeah.
And Benaja Laney against Beck Allen. Oh, you don't want that.
That's gonna be.
Oh, that's a matchup on both ends that you don't want. Good. Neither team wants that matchup on both ends because that's a lot of running around and chasing someone for Benaja Laney, who she can do that, and she's more than capable of doing that, but it's not her strength defensively. No, that's a big, strong body for Beck Allen to handle on the other end.
Yeah.
That maybe again, that's the matchup. Maybe we're looking at Benaja Laney as the tipping point again here because it looks, you kind of have good matchups everywhere. It's just maybe who gets there, and then obviously again transition. We're going to mention transition a million times.
Because that's the key. That's the key. But my thing is, like you said about Bonner, like, do you want her as a rotational defender, right? Do you want her as the non-primary defender on the floor for you with her length, right? I don't know. I like
Beck Allen. Beck Allen's not a bad Stewie defender.
Starter. Yeah.
And if you're telling me, hey, Stewie has to go down the post,
that's
kind of a win for us as a defense, rather than having her in the high post and creating for everyone else. If she has to create in the low post, bang around, get tired, that might be a win for us defensively.
Bring a double.
Yeah.
I don't know. I like it. It's intriguing, but there's so many different ways you can do it, right? It depends on how you're going to cover, right? A player like Stewie, how are you going to cover her, right? Like in terms of, are you blitzing? And then where are you blitzing? When are you blitzing her? When are you bringing the double? Are you just going to shade? Or are you going to go ahead and wall up with 2.5, right? Taking some space away. But I think it all depends on how well New York is shooting the three. Yeah, right? Everyone else. Obviously in game one, Sabrina went crazy. But that's because there were miscues on coverages. Mm-hmm. So, it depends on how you can cover, but it's going to be in-game adjustments that I think predict what we see as defensive coverages by Connecticut on them, right? Like what kind of reads they're successful with. And there are people charting, okay, against this way we're playing defense, they've scored, 5 out of 8 times. Like, okay, we can't do that, right? So that's too high of a percentage. So these are going to be very interesting analytically, right? To see what choices they boil things down to.
Well, and it's all going to change.
Hot. Because
this all changes first time out of the first game. That's what I love I love the playoffs because we talk about all this stuff. We preview it. We're like, oh, this matchup in the first, and as the coaches too, I'm sure you're sitting there. We have all these ideas. You get, someone's got to get punched in the mouth, and then you're like, boom, we have to change everything. We're changing stuff. So
that's the thing.
But I think, I was thinking, like you mentioned types of coverages, like do we wall up against Stewie? Do you just try to create havoc, blitz everything, trap everything? Stewie catches it, we're coming in front of her to try to get us a turnover. Hey, maybe we foul, maybe we don't cause havoc, maybe they get easy buckets, but at least we're speeding up that pace and we're making the game play into our hands. Wow, Connecticut's 11th in possessions per 40 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Really?
Wow.
I didn't know that. Okay.
Wow. Explain that.
Well, I don't know. Well, explain it, like why it's happening, or that they are. So
that they are doing that. Like what is like for like.
Oh yeah. So
how do you break that down?
Yeah, possession per 40 minutes is like so a possession is every time you have the ball in offense. It ends with a rebound, a defensive rebound, a turnover, or a made shot. Those are 3 ways that a possession ends. So if you are having fewer possessions, that means you're typically playing slower, or you're playing slower defensively. That's not necessarily the best statistic. There's another statistic that I like that is on a different website that I just don't have time to go over there and find it. But it's like seconds per offensive possession. This is something that the Mystics talk a lot about like, oh, our defense takes up so much time that our offense doesn't have as many possessions per game. Still, to be 11th in possessions per 40 minutes per game means you're going slow. That means the game's slower. But I think here, you have the Connecticut has to push the ball because that's where they're going to get easy buckets. You don't have to deal with both those long arms at the rim, especially when you're a team that really thrives on those rim attempts. And then you're putting a lot of pressure on your shooters on the outside. That's not necessarily what you want. You do need, I think, Connecticut for sure. And they're definitely, I no doubt they're going to try to get out in transition. So that's why I say you want to pressure the ball. You want to create havoc so that you get more opportunities for turnovers, even if that means giving up some easy buckets so that you get that possession clock started and you get a team that's excellent in their half-court offense out of what they want to do.
Right. No, I just, I kind of understood it, but some people listening too, I just want to make sure we don't, jump over understanding, but I understand that. And I just think it is interesting, but I think when you think of Connecticut, you think of them playing fast or quickly in terms of their pace of play on the offensive side. And again, that's going to be a key for them to play at a high level in terms of their live ball opportunities and their transition game. And I don't know what their transition numbers are. Like, what are they in transition points?
I lost my access to Synergy. So I don't have those stats anymore for anybody.
Darn it. But I'm sure they're up there.
I don't want to mess listening and want to give me a shout. No, don't do that. That's against your school's policies. So never do that. No one's ever done that either.
No.
I'm not paying for it.
No one's ever done that.
Offensive pace. Connecticut's 9th in offensive pace. So that's seconds per offensive possession, according to play-by-play stats.
Wow.
So they're better. They are. They take about 15.45 seconds on offense. The reason their pace is slower is because they are 9th in defensive pace. So they're making the offense take more time on offense.
There we go.
And who's best in that stat? That would be the New York Liberty.
Wow.
And they are also the 2nd fastest team in offensive pace.
Wow.
So, yeah, I mean, maybe it's not a transition game, but I just think you have to. I don't know.
I don't know why I was visualizing Connecticut like just going, getting stops and going, but maybe that's what New York wants to do. I mean, statistically speaking, now that we've ironed that out, I mean, my visualization is like
throw the stats out the window
and go with what I'm thinking.
Please subscribe to her hoop stats. Please subscribe to her hoop stats. But we're throwing the stats out the window because we know that if Alyssa Thomas gets out in transition, if DeWanna Bonner gets out in transition, they're going to score easy baskets, and it's going to put the pressure back on New York to score.
Yes.
And it's hard to score against Connecticut. They're a tough team. They're just tough. So it's hard to score against them. So I think we're both on the transition train, and we were right.
We are on the transition train for sure. And watch it happen. Watch. I'm telling you. That's going to happen. Game 1. We're going to be like, see? Look at it. They're going.
I moved around too much, and now my camera's blurry. I'm apologizing to our YouTube viewers.
I can still see ya.
I'm going to put my thumb over it for a sec.
Oh, okay.
I'm right here. Don't worry. I can still talk. Okay, so do we have anything else here on this?
Hey, I think it's going to be fun. They got worse, Gabe.
I'm gonna shut off my camera. You guys can still hear me though. Okay. I'm here. Don't worry, everybody.
Actual something to wipe it off. But no, I think both teams are primed and ready. I think when they played each other during the regular season, didn't Connecticut beat them during the regular season?
At least one.
Yeah, I think for sure. I think they got at least one myself. off the top of my head. I believe that's the case. But I think it's going to be really interesting. You know, that game 1 is really going to set the table, obviously, for the series. And, you know, if Connecticut can steal one at New York to start, and that's what they always say, right? The playoffs don't really start until the road team wins the game. And, you know, no time like the present to get that first one down. But I think Sandy Brondello has done a fantastic job of, you know, sticking with the chemistry of this team, and Jonquel Jones making a difference in the second half of there you are. Jonquel Jones really doing a great job in the second half of the season. She said that she hadn't been rebounding as tough as she should, and her numbers exponentially improved after the All-Star break on the glass. So I think that is a big reason why New York kind of changed after the All-Star break too, in terms of their consistent play. So when you have that happen, and then you have Laney staying as a consistent key cog and contributor to the team on both sides, I think that has been fun to watch as well. But I think the real key has been Jonquel Jones, you know, and the way that she has been playing second half of the season. And I think that's made the world of difference for their chemistry overall. But it's just her making the decision to be aggressive to the glass, and how her numbers went up. I think it's +5 on the glass since the All-Star break. And that's amazing. +5 on the glass. That's work. Okay. That's not just, oh, you know, all of a sudden she's just getting, no, she's like busting her butt, you know, to get in there and get position and attack the offensive boards in particular, and get those second chance opportunities, whether she gets to the line or not. But I think that has made a huge difference. And that's going to be a huge key for Connecticut as well, to keep a body on Jonquel when shots go up on both sides. Have to.
Two bodies.
Yeah. Have to. 2 bodies. I mean, she's 6'6". She's
well,
6'6", man.
You don't have to tell Alyssa Thomas. You got to hit her, but you don't have to tell Alyssa Thomas. She's going to do that anyways.
She understands the assignment. That's her.
Also, we were wrong. Connecticut lost all 4 games to New York.
Really?
Yes. They took them to overtime one time. They beat Las Vegas by 17. So I think we just got confused. We got the wires crossed there.
Got them crossed, but yeah.
But yeah, to put a bow on this discussion, New York has their number. I mean, the 16-point victory early in the season, and then their last game was a 31-point blowout in New York's favor. So
I forgot about that guy. Yeah.
Oh, let's make a pick.
Okay.
I'm going
for one or the whole series.
The whole series. Let's make it.
Okay. Okay. You go first, because
New York in 4 games.
4.
New York in 4.
Dang. I'm going to go Connecticut in 5, a buzzer beater.
Oh, let's go, Christy. Let's go.
Let's do it.
Absolutely.
Go down to Berry Farms. What are we going to do? We're going to do something at Berry Farms.
I'm good. I'm good on betting on this one. I don't know what's going to happen. This one, I'm very much
nervous about it. Know. Yeah.
I can see Connecticut doing that.
Plus, I like, you know, I'm always going to say, whatever it is, I want to take it to 3 games. I'm going to take it to 5 in the league. You know, the NBA, I want to take it to 7 games. Like, I'm all for the drama of it all. I love it. So yeah, let's take it to 5, but I'm going to, you know, I think Connecticut is going to get some kind of crazy buzzer beating situation to fall.
In transition.
Off
a steal.
Yeah. Something crazy.
Alyssa Thomas from half court.
Yeah.
No labrums needed.
Cashing out from half.
I'm not sure if we could do that.
At the buzzer. And the buzzer sounds when the ball's in the air. Give me that. Yeah. I want that. I want to see that.
I want to see that.
I think that'll be great. So yeah, we'll take 5 games over here.
Let's talk about Vegas and Dallas, because you know, they got the short end of the stick in this podcast, but they deserve a lot more, because I think this series has a lot of potential to be interesting, intriguing, because Dallas, you know, just blew the doors off of Atlanta after going down 20 in the first half of game 1. They just come out and smoked them. For the rest of the way. The second game was 101-74, which is outstanding. I mean, and you look at the way they're rolling with everyone on this team, from Enrique, who's playing really efficiently, to Satu, the most improved player in the WNBA this year, and deservedly so.
Yeah.
I'm so happy we get to see her healthy in a playoff series because she's been outstanding.
Yes.
Natasha Howard, Tiara McCowan, Crystal Dangerfield, Waquir. We could go all up and down the Dallas roster and say how good they're playing and how much better they've gotten this season. But then you look over at the Las Vegas Aces, who are 34-6.
Yeah. 34.
And they blew out Chicago. Tip of the cap to Chicago. See you next year. Tip of the hat to Atlanta. See you next year. Cheers.
Yeah.
We will talk about you guys at a later date. But I think this series, to some people, including Dano Mattia, I don't know if he mentioned this on
Dano
on his show on Dice It Up. I don't know if he mentioned this. What is happening with my camera?
I don't know.
Is it pretty
humid there? You brought the humidity back from Italy.
I don't know. Maybe I'm just sweating.
From the wine.
Yeah, from the wine. Oh man. Maybe it is a wine problem. Regardless, I'm just going to do the podcast like this, and hopefully it comes back.
It's fine. We still see you. It's fine. It is a foggy.
It's foggy. It's weird. Listen, you can listen to the show in audio form. We're not doing videos today. So I think smart money, right, says the Aces are just a better team. You look up and down the roster, a better team. However, this is a pretty good matchup for Dallas. Right? It's a pretty good matchup for Dallas.
I love it.
So what do you see? Why? Or we both think it's a pretty good matchup. Why do you think it's a good matchup?
I think it's a great matchup because they've already beaten Las Vegas this in the regular season. But the size of Dallas and the relentless attitude of Dallas, that should be, two red flags, right? If you're Las Vegas, I think you have to have some concern with the momentum that they're playing the game with, but also the fact that they've come down from 20 down to win games down the stretch here and in the playoffs, obviously last game. Oh my God, Dewey. Sorry.
Dewey's like, no,
he's
Las Vegas is winning this series. Dewey has a big old bet on Las Vegas.
Come on, Deucey. But no, for me, I just think that, the way that Coach Trammell has just reset the defensive mindset of this team, and to hear Enrique Gumbawale after they advanced in this last game, to hear her say, to see Coach Trammell and with tears of joy before the buzzer even goes off, speaks to the investment emotionally that she's made this season, advancing for the first time ever, right? And for this Dallas team. But I think when you have that level of trust in your players to buy in, because I know that's what Coach Trammell told us when they were here in DC, ask her, I think, what's been the biggest adjustment, right? To take over this team. And she said, just understanding that they're going to buy into a new way to play, a new approach and all of that. And the fact that they did it, and not only did they do it, but they advanced after having to claw it out and grit and grind it out in the trenches and get the win to advance for the first time in Dallas history. It just speaks to who she is as a coach and how she respects the players in turn respect her, and they trust each other on both sides. And when that happens, man, it's combustible. And I always say that, but it's a feel, and players know when you fully trust and understand them. And the coaches, and the players know the same thing. Like they feel like we trust her. She trusts me. So there's that mutual respect there that shows up on the floor. But I think it's going to be a great matchup because I think of Dallas's size inside. Yes. And they've really done a good job of putting the ball down in there, okay, and finishing at a high clip, especially in that last series.
Well, I think the big, and this is what we said this throughout the podcast, that emotion, that passion, that's something you just don't want to see that especially as a favorite. You got to come in, win game one. You see all that size, and there are very few players on the planet, not just in the WNBA, that you would like to see less in a playoff tournament situation than Enrique Gumbawale.
That part.
Those lights shine when they're shining the brightest. she's playing the best basketball of her career. She has all those moments. She lives for it. We were just talking about Kobe and Diana, that same cut from the same cloth right there.
All in.
And not that, not that the players on Las Vegas are not that, obviously I'm wearing my Kelsey Plum shirt. Like they're like that. They're like that too, but it's not, I think when you're the favorite, there's a certain feeling of like worry. You can't help it. You can't help when you're on top, you're the defending champs, you've won, you're 34-6, you got that target on your back.
Yeah.
And I mean, we can tell, we can hear the pregame speech from Coach Trammell of like, we don't have anything to lose.
There you go.
We should play with complete abandon. We should play as hard as humanly possible. We have nothing to lose in this game one. Game two, we're going to be a little bit worried if we lose game one. But game one, just come out and try to hit him in the mouth as hard as you can. And you're telling that to Enrique Gumbawale. Like, I'm a little nervous if I was a Vegas player. Like, that's just not something I want to see. And then you mentioned all that size, all that length. It's going to be really tough for A'ja Wilson to establish herself in the post in this series, because whoever her matchup is, whether it's Satu, whether it's McCowan, when Kalani Brown comes into the game, there's a lot of size. There's a lot of beef. This is going to be hard to establish post position, to get offensive rebounds. And then on the other end, you got to box out. And so Kia Stokes needs to have a big series. I think, you look at the guards. I'm sure the guards are going to do great. Alicia Clark is another player who falls into the category of having a big series. 6th woman of the year. Yeah.
6. Yay.
She deserves it.
AC.
I wish she could have won it here, but that was just not.
I know. We love her.
But she wasn't 6th woman. She was a starter. But still, she should have won something here.
Yeah.
Regardless, still love AC.
Yeah.
And she's having a great year. Someone you trust in the playoffs, right? So then, I don't know, man. I think my brain tells me Las Vegas is just the better team. They have been here before. They will rise to the occasion. A'ja will find a way to do it. Chelsea Gray will find a way. Kelsey Plum will find a way. But I like it. I like what the Wings are bringing to the table in this matchup. I think they match up. It's just like you see it, and it's not okay. You want to go through the matchups really quick?
Yes.
We got Dangerfield on Plum.
Okay.
That's a good size matchup. Good, and Dangerfield's really good about getting around the screens.
She is.
And she can do a lot to keep Plum in check. You got who do we got? We got Enrique on Jackie Young.
Okay.
Hey, Notre Dame, baby.
Okay.
Notre Dame.
Okay. I like it.
No, so we got two teammates from Notre Dame going at each other. And again, that's another matchup like we mentioned with John Quill and Alyssa Thomas. Like, they know everything about each other.
They know.
And and I'm sure you can get when you're playing your friends.
Oh man,
nothing like playing your friends.
Nothing like
that's when people think you slow up against your friends. Like, no, I'm trying to kill you. Like, I'm trying to bring it to you.
Crack it for it.
That's going to be tough, and that's going to be an incredible matchup, I think. Then you look at the front court. We got who's Natasha Howard got?
Oh man,
who's on Chelsea? Wait, all right. Chelsea
Stokes?
Gray needs an assignment.
Oh wait, let's back it up. Okay, let's go with Stokes. That's the matchup with Howard.
Yeah, well, no, Stokes. No. Well, so Stokes got the matchup. Who's on? All right, so Sabley will be. Actually, no, Sabley.
Okay.
Defensively, man, this is weird.
This is okay. Break it down again. Let's go guards first. Let's do our guards. Write it down because
now we're bringing out the whiteboard.
Yeah, bring out the whiteboard.
Now we're bringing out the whiteboard.
Gabe. Write it down so I can see it and figure it out. Okay, we got our guards. Let's start with the guards.
So we got Gray, Plum, Young,
Stokes,
A'ja,
and A'ja.
Stokes.
Yeah. Let's see.
Side.
Yeah, let's
McCowan.
Old little scenic.
Is it an A or an E at the end of McCowan?
Oh, chat. I don't know.
It is an A.
I just say it. I don't write them down all the time.
I always screw that up. I always have screwed that up. So then we got Sabley's the 3.
Sorry, y'all.
Okay. Then we got okay. It's just going to be backwards when I show it on the camera, but that's okay.
It's all good. We'll get a good idea of it. But I think it's going to be really interesting to see what the matchups will be, though.
Yeah, this is actually
when Clark comes in,
Yeah, I mean, and when Clark comes in, it's like, well, as Dallas, do you go big or do you go small?
Big, small. That's exactly what I'm thinking.
Because then you probably could take off. I don't know, man. This is
but it's intriguing. I like that though. To think.
Okay,
about.
Can we? Is it backwards?
No.
Okay.
Well, I can't see anyway. You get the ring light on it.
I'm just gonna turn it off.
Oh no, it's fine. Okay.
All right, there we go. It'll adjust. All right, we can see it
closer to the people so people can see it. There we go. Well, no. Okay, no, that's fine.
This is how it's gonna be. You can see my eye coming through. All right,
we
got Dangerfield. I don't know, man.
I like Dangerfield in gray.
I like Dangerfield and Plum. I gotta turn this back on. Sorry.
Is that what you had? Yeah, no. Come on.
Yeah, you can't see me. I like Dangerfield and Plum.
Okay,
because that's a better size matchup. And then we go.
That is a better size matchup. You're correct.
Do we want
Dangerfield, Plum, gray?
Arike? Like it has to be, at least in the starting lineup.
You know what? I almost like that matchup better. Let's go gray and Arike.
Yeah.
Rather than Arike on Jackie Young.
And this is Dallas on defense.
Defense.
On we're gonna have to do that one too. So this is a whole mess. All right. And we got Young Sabley.
Mm-hmm.
That's fine. That's fine. I mean, that's a mismatch both ways, honestly, but that's fine.
Right.
And then we have Howard on Asia. Former Defensive Player of the Year.
Okay.
Up against the MVP.
I like him.
Should be fun. Okay. And then we have McCowan on Stokes. Very cool. Now, going the other way, though.
Okay.
You'd probably just put Gray. I don't know, man. This is probably go the same way, but this is.
I think there might
be choices here. There's a lot more choices here.
Yeah, a lot more. And especially, I'm thinking like as the game progresses, what it changes to. Oh, look at that. Yeah. We got a little.
You got the little ring light, but you guys can tell. You guys can see it.
Yeah. Well, you definitely can see it. Yeah. Dangerfield and Plum. Yeah. Gray and Arike. I like that. For the guard spots. And I like Howard. And that match with Asia. It's going to be interesting to see. Or they could do some zone, throw a little zone.
Hard to do zone against a team that shoot. Well, it depends. Like, yeah. So Chelsea Gray, here's the thing, right?
If Dallas goes big, they can go zone.
Yeah, but
scramble out of it.
If you remember what happened last year, right? Like,
I know.
It didn't matter.
You
could have come up with the best defense in the world. You probably could have had 6 players out there and it wouldn't matter because Chelsea Gray was playing so well. So if she finds that level, or if Plum finds that level, or if Young finds that level, or if they find their stroke from 3,
I know.
You can't go zone.
Right. But if they're missing those shots, right? And if you do a wing drop and keep those bigs down inside or do, like we called it Phoenix, but it's like, keep a big at like a 3-2 zone and keep that big at the nail. And then they play that little triangle area and everyone else is sprayed out and keep the big inside. So you get your boards and your rim protection. I stole it from Phoenix, Mercury and Griner was playing. But it was really good, right? It helps, keep your post home. But you have the defensive 3 seconds. You have to be mindful of where everybody is, obviously. But I think it's a safe defense, right? If you want to clog the paint, but also spray your guards out or your most mobile post players, right? To be able to get to the corners and take away drives and angles. But you also keep your interior defense solid, right? Especially with the size that Dallas has. We called it Rover, 32 Rover. But I took it from Phoenix because they kept Griner inside.
Yeah. No, it's great. It's a great idea.
It's a great defense. Sorry to give up all my secret sauce of defense.
Oh no, we lost Christy. Well, Christy's we lost you. There you go.
Yeah, no, Bree was calling. I'm gonna call her right back. my girl.
Does Bree have any ideas of what Dallas should do on defense?
I know. I need to ask her. I will ask her once we connect.
No, but so I like the Rover concept, but honestly, I don't know. I'm kind of an old school, we're playing man until you knock us out of it. And we're waiting for Christy to come back. But I like to play man because that just shows me that we can be aggressive. We're going to pressure the ball. We want to force turnovers. These two teams, we talked about the kind of we think Connecticut needs to go faster in the last series. This series is going to be fast.
Oh, there we go. Sorry.
Hey.
Oh, that made me nervous. It glitched out for a second. I missed what you just said the last
Okay. So I was saying that I'm a man. Like, I like playing man because like I'm not getting cute until you make me. Like, make me change. We'll keep the Rover on the back. We'll keep our zones.
Might have a timeout one time. Just
maybe, but we're manning up. We're going to pressure you. We're going to cause turnovers, and we're going to get out and run because both these teams, back to the PvP stats, offensive pace, seconds per whatever, Las Vegas first, Dallas third. So they're going to be flying. This is going to be flying up and down, and maybe it comes down to who can score more efficiently in transition.
Right.
But I just think for me, I like to say, hey, we're manning you. Like, we're not intimidated. We're not coming out here and playing anything but our base defense. And we think we can beat you with that. And I think Dallas has a case to say we can beat you with that. Now, it's going to be really interesting. Which one of these teams do you think is more likely to be like, we'll slow it down?
Right.
I don't know. I mean, do you think it's my brain says, okay, Vegas probably has the better half-court offense. But then I'm thinking like, hey, maybe Dallas can do a lot more damage in the post. Maybe they can get more fouls, especially it depends on how Vegas is matching up. But when Alicia Clark comes in the game, if I'm Dallas, I'm saying, let's slow this down. Let's let McCowan get Asia on her back, and let's see if we can get some fouls on Asia. So it's going to be a really interesting chess match. And then maybe it just comes down to, as it always does, right? Who makes them. Basketball is terrible, right? Because we sit here, coaches, players, us, everyone, fans, we think about these matchups, all this stuff, and it just comes down to like, hey, who's going to make 4 more threes in the game?
Yeah. Who's going to be a dog on defense? Who's going to get the glass work? I mean, this is going to be a great game because, I mean, obviously semifinals, you're in the Final Four. It's like Final Four in college. Like these are the top teams that have advanced because of their grit and their toughness. Mentally, their execution has been on point to get them here. But at the same time, it all comes down to matchups when you get to the playoffs, right? Mm-hmm. Once you get in there, you make the playoffs, that's one thing, right? And then it becomes a matchup situation. We're talking this like, can you imagine like how many different scenarios the coaches go through in terms of matchups and schemes and what they want to do offensively to attack and get those gaps and get into the paint and score. But the way Dallas is set up personnel-wise, wow, they're huge inside. And so, we're talking about what's Dallas going to do, what's Vegas going to do with all that size in there. And they already proved that they can beat Vegas, right? Not to say I'm not like fighting with any team, but I'm just saying like, that was already an issue. And when they did beat them, they went downstairs. They went downstairs and got some buckets in the paint in that restricted area, and they made Vegas work. And, and Vegas beat them too. So let's make sure, not just saying Dallas had their number, but they did that one time. So sometimes
in that game, 10 offensive rebounds for Dallas, 5. Was that, wait, did we watch it? No. We watched a different Dallas game that we got in trouble from YouTube about that. We're not doing that.
That part.
But so Dallas though, they out rebounded them and they boarded them, and that's how they won a lot of games this year. So I don't know. I mean, I don't know. I think it might come down to who slows this down more effectively.
Interesting.
Like honestly, I think this might come down to turnover. Turnovers matter in every single.
Oh, for sure.
Turnovers are huge, but it might just matter who decides, who makes the conscious decision to slow down the game, and who is more efficient in those situations. Because I think Dallas also, you could sit there and say, hey, we slow down the game, we have a lot more opportunities to crash the glass.
Absolutely.
And we can't be scared of that transition.
No.
We can't be scared of that. If we give up transition buckets, that's okay because we need those offensive rebounds to win.
Absolutely.
But man, that is a scary thing to say as a coach.
It is. I mean, for both sides, it's like, man, we're running. Both teams are buzzsaws, and it's which buzzsaw can run the longest. This game is going to be. I want it to be very contentious in terms of up and down score. I want it to be close throughout the game, and I want it to come down to late game execution, time and score possibilities for both teams, and who can execute the best when it comes down to it. I think that's going to be the telling story, and I think it's going to be very interesting to see if Dallas can maintain their ability to rebound well and get second chance points. I think let's just circle that now as being a key factor to Dallas's success. And on the flip side, they're concerned for the Aces. And then for Dallas, their concern is how do you plug the holes in the boat?
Their concern is everything.
Their concern is everything else, man.
Their concern is everything.
Work in front of them, and they're ready to do it.
I thought you were gonna make a pick there. You're like, she was like, it's gonna come down to this and that, and I think this is the team that's gonna do it.
No, not yet until you ask, and then I'll.
Well, good. Let's make a pick.
Darn it. Okay. Well, you went first last time, so. Yeah. Oh my gosh. When I tie my hair up in a chignon, I get a little nervous. Okay, let's see. I'm going to go with Las Vegas in 4.
Okay.
In 4. I think Dallas can get at least 1. Even though I said I like 5, but I'm going to go 4 with Las Vegas because I think they're going to be able to self-correct.
I think I'm going 5 here. But Vegas. I think I'm going Vegas in 5.
Script and went 5.
Because I think, at some point you just have to think like,
no, I agree.
Someone's getting loose for Dallas. Whether it's McCowan, whether it's Satu, whether it's Enrique, one of these players is going to get loose. And they're going to score and they're going to win a game on their own. And I think they do that. They could do that twice.
Can I change mine to 5? Or is it too late? 5. Both series because
Vegas and 5.
Vegas
and then we are going against each other, Connecticut, New York.
Yeah.
So we'll check in.
Joining the party for the Vegas because Vegas, and they just won last year with the same crew. Yeah. I mean, and then you add Alicia Clark, AC. It's my dog.
So when we talk next week, which is probably going to be again on Friday morning, it'll be
Friday morning. Yeah.
The day of Game 3.
Okay.
So.
I like it. Should we go live on that day, or am I putting pressure by saying that while we're still in here?
We can figure it out.
Possibly.
Maybe we go live after I like the live after the game.
I like the live after the games. It's fun.
Maybe
we just do that. I couldn't sleep the other night anyway. I was like,
yeah, and I can never sleep.
Me either.
I just can't sleep.
Yeah. Mind racing, honey.
We can go. So what are the games? They're on Tuesday. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll work it out. Or I'll have my people call it Her Hoop Stats podcast crew.
Yeah. Get the people on it. Get the people on it.
We'll figure it out. Because I do want to maybe we'll go live next Friday. I don't know.
Yay. Let's do it.
We'll go live at some point after one of these games, Friday, Sunday, or the following Tuesday.
Snap it out.
How about that?
Absolutely, we're doing it.
And maybe we'll do it with the whole crew. I'll talk to Calvin and Karina and Dano, and we can do a little Brady Bunch thing.
Yeah, let's have a party.
Little party.
Party
and ice and everything.
Oh yeah, get ice in there.
Yes, all right. On that note,
yeah,
I mean we do have to get back to the Mystics, but I think we can save that for when we're less like raw. It's a little
it's tough, but it will be interesting to see what free agency looks like for the Mystics. Cloud is up, Deladon is up, and one more, right? 3 of them.
I forget. You are correct. There is a third person who is up.
I know Kareem Copeland was on the calls. I couldn't get on the calls, the exit calls, the last couple of days here. But Kareem,
we have Elena, we have Natasha, Christy, Tiana,
ET,
and that is, and then Shatori is an unprotected contract.
Okay, all right, so really 5. Wow.
Yeah. It's like locking in Ariel Atkins. That was big.
That was major. 2-year deal for her.
They have a core. They have a core available. So
Core. Yeah.
they will use that on someone. But we will talk. I got to think about it a lot more.
Yeah,
I got to think about the rest of these teams. And we got college basketball coming up.
I know.
I'm going to see Kim Barnes-Rico. This is like an aside that I should have told you before the podcast. Kim Barnes-Rico is coming to the Wooten coaching clinic, and that is tomorrow. And yes.
Wait, it's tomorrow?
Yes.
Shoot.
Can you just come?
I'm out of town, and that's my girl.
Well, I'll tell you so.
Please hug her for me.
I don't know if we're gonna hug.
KBA.
I'm not sure.
Well,
Coach Trammell's a hugger.
Christy sends her a hug.
Yeah, I'll tell her you sent her a hug.
She'll laugh.
Coach Trammell's a hugger. She'll hug anybody. She just saw me. I was walking with you, and she was like, "Hey, how you doing?" She gave me a big hug.
I know. She's great.
I love her. She's got great energy.
Yeah.
I don't know if Kim. I don't know if Kim's.
Kim is
for
the
everyone.
No,
okay,
we're on
great.
the same.
Then maybe I'll give her a hug.
Me and Kim are squiggle lines, so she'll give you a hug.
Perfect. I'll let her know that you say hi. But yeah, that's what I'm doing tomorrow.
Sweet.
And then we're watching hoops because that's when do we get started?
Sunday, you said, right?
Yes.
Sunday at 1.
Sunday at 1. We get started.
Beautiful. Be watching.
Yeah, lots of stuff coming up. September's crazy. I always forget how crazy September is because we have the playoffs, then almost immediately right to college basketball.
Yeah.
So we got a crazy time coming up. That's all.
Big Ten Media Day coming up in a couple of weeks in Minneapolis. In October, first week of October. So that'll be fun. It's gonna be crazy, and there's gonna be so much more to talk about. Are we exiting?
We are.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure I didn't want to cut it off and you got something else. So, no, I'm a communicator, so I'm going to ask first. But anywho, it has been a full-on blast chopping it up with you, Gabe, right here on Courtside with Christy and Gabe on the Her Hoop Stats Podcast Network. Hey, the playoffs are still rolling along. We're going to bring it all to you right here. So make sure you meet us back here next week as we break it all down after the playoffs and the semifinals for the WNBA get rolling on Sunday. So until then, we will see you next time for my guy, Gabe Ibrahim.
Hey, you got it, yeah.
I almost messed it up. For my guy, Gabe Ibrahim, I'm Christy Winters Scott. We'll check y'all later.